if you want, we can start without Mr. Keshe, and he can join later.
Sure, if you'd like to do that, that would be fine. Let's do a sound check there first to make sure the sound's good and everything. How we doing there? You got the setup ready to go? You guys are ready there? Or should I make the announcement to officially start the workshop?
Start it.
Okay, well, this is the 11th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and my name's Rick Crammond, and I'm in the west coast of Canada, and we'll be speaking with people from the Spaceship Institute in northern Italy, and with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and several other people on the Skype call and in the GoToMeeting. And of course, lots of people on the live stream. How many people are there now, Guy?
110.
110 people on the live stream right now. And of course, there's many people that are also rebroadcasting from those places to other places around the world, everywhere from China to Romania. So, okay, I guess, Marek, are you going to start off there with something, or how would you like to begin?
Okay, so we are here almost all. Yukako is missing. We have John, Jorge, Marco, Ivan and his wife, Mary Christie, and Armen. And I am Marek. So welcome today. And we would like to share what we experience here at the Spaceship Institute of Keshe Foundation. So actually we are working on two ways. One way is in the lab with reactors and GANs materials, and another way is beginning of agriculture outside in the garden. So these are the ways we are working on now. Regarding the lab, it's well, we made a lot of change there regarding the reactors because we tried to understand more the behavior of reactors. Each reactor is somehow special. It behaves on its own. We have actually 2 reactors during the week, which are no longer motor operable. So motor has stopped. At Ivan's reactor was the first one who stopped. It was already, I don't know how long. It's quite long, 2 weeks, maybe 10 days. And the second reactor with blocked motor is the Iranian half-sphere reactor. And so these are in the, I don't know how to call it, suppressed mode. Or suppressed mood, I don't know, it depends. Ivan's reactor is still quite active regarding the fields. When we measure them with magnetometer, it still shows around 250 microtesla levels, and the Iranian one is somehow weaker. So, good morning.
shoulder with him. Come later and later. He usually is the last one on the first on the Are you alive?
Yes, we are talking.
Sorry about this.
So, actually, before this week, we were in more. We were experimenting in different ways than this week. This week we got more access. We were made more free to make the changes according to what we feel and what we want to try with the reactors. So now each day, a couple of us are in charge of the reactors and are trying different ways to to feel how the reactors behave and to do some measurements. So I was working on it 2 days ago, I think, with Ivan, and we actually made some modifications in the star formation. And we focused on the behavior of two reactors interaction. So we tried to measure the fields between two reactors, the Iranian one of Armen and mine, and the white one, and the second one was which one? Another actor, and
It's too early.
I think Ivan's reactor, or I don't know exactly now. So we have tried to measure the fields between two reactors and tried. No, sorry, the second was not Ivan's because we have tried also changing the rotational direction. So it was, I think, one of the newer ones, half sphere one. Yes.
Let's check
So
the vacuum.
we tried first to
How sealed
have
is the system.
the same rotation of the two reactors. So it was counterclockwise or clockwise first time, and we measured the fields between, and then we changed one reactor to counterclockwise rotation and measured the fields. I had some insight into what I want to check regarding the magnetic field flow. So according to my visions, when the flows meet between the reactors and they flow in the same direction, they strengthen themselves, they help each other. If they meet at opposite direction, they are opposing each other, so they get weaker. They have to find new ways to flow. So you have checked by measuring with Metrolab magnetometer, and well, slightly we have seen this correlation to be confirmed because the fields were lower. Lower when the fields opposed when the reactors were rotating the same direction, let's say counterclockwise. So between them, the fields were opposing in the direction.
So another field here is around.
So they were a little weaker. And when we switched, changed the direction of the one to clockwise, the fields were flowing between the reactors in the same direction, and they were a little more stronger. So there is some correlation of this type. Then we try to do other changes in the formation to see the change of magnetic fields. We have the detector usually at the position near the central reactor, its outer core in the equator, let's say, I don't know, 10 centimeters from the outer core. And so we usually see these fields if we don't take the detector out and measure something else. So we have tried to move other reactors and see what is the change of fields. And after some rearrangements and the last exchange of Ivan's reactor and John's reactor, so we've got the formation of central one with 3 reactors in the triangle around, in the star around, and the Ivan reactor was a little further. So the Johns, the Armans, and Marcos reactor were around the central one, around this power generator prototype. And we managed to lower the fields. According to Mr. Keshe, we managed to approach some conditions quite near the flight, but as we came from 60 something, 63 or 5 to 49 microtesla, which according to Mr. Keshe was good achievement, but then we feed it the reactors with another hydrogen dose, 1 dose to single core, and 2 doses to outer core of double core reactors, and 1 to its inner core of these double core reactors. So after feeding, we again saw increase in the field's strength. So we kept it as it was for the next day for another Moshan's, another controllers to take over and go further. And I think I can pass it to, let's say, John, and he can speak about yesterday's achievements in his experiments with the star formation.
So, hello everyone. I've been working on in the morning I've been working on a new reactor, one of my ceramic reactor, in which we have been inserting some GaNs material, the blue GaNs material. It's a small reactor. that small reactor was a reactor of a small size with inner dimension of 300 milliliter volume. We have been inserting some just about 60 milliliters of the GANS material. After spinning this reactor, I have been extracting the water that has been separated and adding some more of the material in the quantity that has been taken out. So the spinning had to be going at a very high speed, but I have a mechanical problem with the system. We have managed to go up to 1700 revolutions per minute, but there were a lot of vibration, and I had some wearing of the bearings were in fact losing some metal from the rubbing of the ceramic on the inside of the bearing, so we stopped it. And that was for the moment stop with this type of material. So it's the first time we've been starting to use some GANS material as material to create the plasma. Well, in fact, GANS is already a plasma. So some fields could be seen, and it's the day before yesterday, in fact, that I started, and that start has been as soon as I started the system and I had put it near the other reactors, the fields of all the reactors together, the field is measured near the central reactor. That field was increased, so the small reactor has been put away. The first time on the side, and then yesterday it was put completely elsewhere in another room, far away from the others, because of the vibration. There was some noise. So it was after that we stopped the reactor, because we saw some metallic, very fine metallic pieces on the ground, so we stopped it. So this has to be corrected. Have to see how it can be done. So yesterday I worked also late on the other reactors. I worked with Marco to do that. What we have done is, because we have to start seeing how things go with the reactors. As we had 2 reactors with a stopped motor, we decided to take away from the formation the half-sphere reactors to see how the other could behave. So each time that we took one reactor out of the formation, we measured the fields. Ivan's reactor has a very strong field, even though the reactor, the motor is not spinning, the fields were very, very high. That's the strongest fields we have measured. And then next was the Iranian reactor, which has also some fields. Iranian reactor was very special because, in fact, we have measured a double plasma. One plasma in the half top sphere and another plasma near the motor in the bottom of that reactor. The Iranian reactor, to remind, is in fact a completely closed reactor, half sphere, rotating at the top, inside a half sphere, completely closed and static. And the bottom part of the reactor is a cylindrical box, closed also, which contains which protects the motor, or the inside of the system is completely coated, even around the motor and the box underneath. Sorry. So the measurements we made of the plasma in the system showed, in fact, that there was in the system two plasma. One plasma on the top, on the half sphere near the top, or the half sphere, the normal half sphere had some plasma, but we also measured strong plasma underneath near the motor. So it was very strange because measuring from the bottom to the top, we had first from the bottom to the top, bottom of the motor part, fields were at a certain level, then going up, we had some increase in the field, and then arriving at the middle, we had the decrease, and then from the half sphere on the top, we had some increase again, and then lowering, so we can measure clearly two fields in the system. So those two reactors have been put out of the formation. Oh, there's a small problem there of sound, but anyway, I go further. So we have those two reactors have been put out of the formation in the lab next door. We have put out also the stainless steel half sphere, which had also some plasma. So we didn't kill the plasma from those reactors. We kept them with their plasma and put them out, keeping their plasma. So the fact is that because the motor didn't turn anyway, we prefer to see what happens with the reactors. So we kept 4 reactors in formation, or the full sphere reactors. And those full sphere reactors, we have tried to understand what was happening and the fields increase and decrease of the fields by moving those reactors. So we first start to measure the fields near each reactor. Then we took each reactor out of the formation and again start to understand the interaction with those reactors because we had some, when we take those reactors out, we had increase in the field, the measurement that we have from the center reactor. So each time we saw some change in the fields measured near the center reactor. So my conclusion is that we do have some plasma in each of those reactors. So each time we make a movement, we have to wait and see what's happening. So we have each time seen the difference and the impact of each reactor on the central fields. So after putting in fact at a bigger distance all the reactors from the center reactor, we start putting each one reactor in near the center reactor, then putting it out and putting another one in. So that's the way we have proceed to understand what's happening and the positioning of the three reactors around the center reactor. We have finally put them all together back in the formation. So the four reactors as in a star formation, all the reactors very near the center on the central plate. So after that, we loaded some more hydrogen in those reactors. And that was it for the day. So we have seen some decrease of the fields as soon as we put all the reactors together. So we see the push of the three outer reactors, and we see that that push makes the fields go lower and lower. So that's what we have to aim is in fact a lowering of those fields. And if we reach the field of the ambient, then at that moment we should be able to see lift, but we are not there yet, and we are still feeding each day, inserting more hydrogen to increase the mass of the plasma. So one understanding of the plasma in the reactors where there is some coating everywhere. We have to see that the opening of the plasma is done by the hydrogen when it interacts with nanomaterial. The electron, which is part of the hydrogen, interacts with the nanomaterial on the sides. That interaction allows the electron to be extracted, but at the same time, because of the structure of the nanomaterial, that electron starts to open and to change its nature. And then that opening of the electron allows it to go back to be inserted in the proton. And that proton, with that electron being opened, becomes a kind of weaker neutron, which is the start of the plasma. And that is the way we have to understand now well, that's the way I understand it now. I think I can explain it in a way which is a better understanding, because the previous understanding was that the electron was taken out of the hydrogen, but then what will become that electron, and that electron is in fact reinserted in the proton to make a neutron, opening then the place to have the start of the plasma. So I think I have done with what I could explain. Do you have any question?
Apparently not. Anybody from the GoToMeeting there, Vince, that would like to say something?
Maybe I have a question. Is it a problem with the magnets inside the motor? Do they interfere the plasma if the motor is too close with the reactor?
Okay. One small moment. Okay. We have a small technical problem. We are switching computer. Okay, do you hear us?
Yes.
We don't hear.
Having some technical difficulties there.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, can hear you clearly, yes.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello? Just see if you're back.
Okay. Now,
Hello.
Can you
no.
hear us okay? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, John.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I go on.
Okay,
So,
great.
because of the magnet used for the rotation, we do have some interaction when we measure the fields, but apparently, well, the reactors where we have a strong coupling with the magnet, those are the half sphere reactors, and those are the reactors that have, in fact, the strongest fields that we can measure. So Interaction, there is certainly some interaction, but what is in what measure and how the interaction is happening? Well, it has some impact, clearly, because the fields are so strong that we can see them, but the impact and I cannot give you a full answer and explanation of what's happening, but the fields are rotating fields created by those magnets. We have half spheres. Those half spheres have fields rotating, so it certainly helps. But no, I cannot say more than that.
Yeah, when I measured it with a magnetometer, I get 10,000 microteslas on the motor itself. So that's
Yes.
a lot, and it's you know, let's say 7-8 centimeter away of the core itself, and
Yes, well,
20 centimeter of the center of the core.
yes, well, we do see that the motor has a strong field. That's normal. But what is interesting is to see the fields coming from the sphere, and at that level we can see a difference in the fields from if you make a measurement at the top of the sphere, at the middle, and at the bottom, you can see the variation of the vertical part of the field. Yeah, with the laboratory magnetometer, we have the field in the three directions. We have the full field vector. We have the B field in the X direction, the Y direction, and Z direction. The way the magnetometer is put, usually it's placed in such a way that the Y value of the B field is the vertical. So we usually see that well, it depends in what unit we counted, but usually the vertical part has been around 70 macrotesla, and we went down to 49, 40, even 45, I think, at one moment. Macrotesla. That was the field at the middle of the center reactor.
Okay.
So it is the vertical part which is the most interesting part to see in our case, yeah, with the formation, to see if we are going towards achieving some lift.
Okay, well, I was a little bit worried. I thought that the motor was a little bit too close, and I thought about it to give it some more distance, and maybe the measurements were then more correct.
Well, if you have your motor, it depends. Your motor can be in the axis of the sphere, or it can be put laterally if you have a pulley and a belt to rotate. But anyway, the position of the motor, if it's laterally, will have less interaction than being actually mounted.
Yeah, it's with a belt and so on. Okay, I see what it does now. This will be probably next week when I have more time to test, to do more tests for plasma, and
Yes.
maybe we can open it.
Yes, well, what is the main thing is leave it on, let it rotate, and to create the plasma you need time. And what has to be done is add some more hydrogen, not a big quantity, but regularly. Just add each day 1 measure of hydrogen.
Yeah. I did till now the tests only with hydrogen. I have also argon in the lab, and I thought to use the argon also.
Yes, well,
But,
for your system, in fact, because you are nano-coated everywhere, I think you can start producing your plasma just by adding hydrogen. The fact to add some argon later on will help the plasma to be compressed in the center.
yeah, that's the meaning of it. Yeah. I think the last workshop you talked about this to get some more pressure, pressurize the plasma. I'm gonna try it next week.
Yes, okay. Well, in fact, as I understood, the plasma is being pressurized by adding the gas, and the open of the plasma will be by extracting the gas later. Well, we haven't done that yet.
By using the double taps also, and take out 1 or 2 amounts, maybe. I understand that Mr. Keshe created that way the more deep vacuum.
We haven't been using the deep vacuum system yet. It's not connected. So we are still with the roughing pump only. Anyway,
I know that Mr. Keshe created the vacuum actually, and I think it's by taking out small amounts when the plasma is opened, and by taking out the small amounts away, that he created in that way a deeper vacuum actually.
well, if we
You open the expandable vacuum.
yes, it's in fact we have to expand the plasma. So we in fact it's a repetition that we are making of extracting the gas, and then adding. It's a repetition that is made by expanding and then compressing. And, and that's the way it has to be done. But it's not a small amount. I didn't understand that we are extracting small amount. We vacuum the gas, and then we can allow some more gas to get in. So it's a sudden change that we are having. And by allowing that sudden change, then the plasma can open.
Okay. That's all what I wanted to ask. To now.
Okay, I can eventually give the microphone. I don't know. Marco, he has been making some experiments, so I can pass the microphone.
He's a farmer today, the harvester.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, John, for explanation. Yes, yesterday we were playing with John with our reactors. John also explained in details all what we did. We have star formation with 4 reactors, 1 in the middle and 3 in the 120 degrees separated in the circle around. And we tried to move them in and out and each separately so that we could observe changes in the field strength, and we made some conclusions. We write down all the measurement. So in a way, we concluded that when we put the 120-degree reactor more out of the circle, the fields increased, and so they increased in the strength in the direction that we don't want to go. If we put reactors more in the near the central reactor, then fields decreased, and this is direction of the environmental strength of the fields, and this is the way that we should go to achieve lift condition. So in a way, we have luck. We are lucky to have so many reactors here. 7, 8. But on another way, we have bad luck because this is like have a schizophrenic person with 8 personalities, and when you don't know them, it's difficult to communicate with such a person. But I think when you know each of them, it's a joy to work with. Anyway, we are trying to find this, to find out the behavior of these reactors. They are, we can say, like personalities on its own, and sometimes they reflect ourselves also. So maybe I can talk about agriculture experiment. I started some experiments outside with seeds. We used previous produced material from nano-coated wires from we produced GANs, and we treated seeds with these GANs that we produced in our systems before. I have 3 boxes with soil and another 4 box to compare with these 3 boxes. I'm growing different seeds in these boxes: wheat, corn, onion, some salad, parsley. Yeah, I have also tomatoes, but I didn't treat them. Many different plants. And well, I'm doing experiment in the way that I put seeds into GANs material. And then I leave these seeds in GANs for, let's say, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and so on. Every 10 minutes, I put out 1 seed from the GANs material to the soil and to start growing. I'm using different GANs, CO2 GANs and copper GANs. So I prepared everything. I put seeds into GANs, and now these seeds are in the soil, and well, I'm observing what's going on, what will be results. Plants are still not out of the soil. It's only 2 days ago when they were planted. So it's start of experiment. These GANs are different magnetic gravitational. They create different gravitational magnetic field conditions, and when you put seeds into GANs, you expose them to these fields, and we will try to see what this exposure will bring to us. In a way, also other scientists are doing experiments like this, but they're using different methods. A few days ago, Ivan showed me that Chinese are sending seeds into space in their rockets and in satellites. They keep them a few days, I don't know how long, in the space, and then they brought them back down to the Earth, and then they seed them and observe what kind of growing and results. And there was quite well on the pictures of that experiments. We observed that they get plants in very good conditions. So in a way, we are trying to do this in a different way. We expose seeds to different magnetic gravitational fields, which are produced by GANs material. So that's start of agriculture experiment, and I will inform you each week about our development in this section. Yeah, if you will have some salad, yeah, you can order special GANs treated salad from us. Okay.
Marco, I have a question. Are you taking questions?
Yes.
This is Eisen. I have done a treatment of GANs with pea seeds 6 days ago and planted them. My question, two questions. Did you soak the seeds in water first before treating it with GANs?
No, I didn't soak them in the water. Actually, I just put them into GANs, but also in the GANs material there is some water.
Right. Right.
It's not only GANs, it's a mixture of GANs and water.
Fresh
so
water.
You have,
fresh water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We washed the GANs material, which was produced in salty water. We washed these GANs with demineralized water few times so that you don't have any more salt in the water, because salt is not good for plants.
Yes, that's actually that. Yes, that's I followed that procedure, and so far I know the results are early, day 6, but that row that was treated came above the soil 2 days before the other row that wasn't treated.
Oh.
So
yes.
Yes.
We've seen this before. We've seen this 2 years ago in the United States. In a test in the United States.
Can you explain? Because I will pass microphone to Mr. Keshe.
Okay.
Sorry about it. Good morning, everyone. Yes, we've seen this. We did a trial about 3 years ago, if some people are remembering. We did a seed in 7 different nations around the world. And we've seen this. And in the scientific research, which we financed 2 years ago, we've seen the same kind of development. So 4 years ago, 3 years ago, tests, we soaked the seeds for about 3 days before putting them in the soil, and they soaked the seeds in GANs for 3 days as well before they seeding them, and then 30 days later, a second amount of GANs was added to the soil, and you will see the changes. Changes can scientifically be explained. As we grow and we go more into agriculture, I will explain to you exactly scientifically what happens that you get these changes. One of the reasons is when you put your seed in the GANs. GANs is a magnetic field condition, so this sticks to this GANs sticks as a layer, a very thin layer, a nano layer of few thousand layers, in fact, on the seed. These layers, the way you see the blackness on the nanomaterials due to absorption of the full spectrum of the magnetic fields and gravitational fields. So these layers actually create, like a sucking machine, a spectrum of the gravitational magnetic field of the water moisture in the air and nitrogen. So the sudden increase or some advanced increase in the growth is due to the fact that they are absorbing nitrogen from the environment due to the gravitational magnetic field layering on the skin of the seed. So scientifically we understand this process fully. So this is why we developed this, and we encourage this next step into hopefully the University of South University of the country of Sierra Leone. We will do a mass production of this material, because in Africa with this technology there is no need for fertilizer, because 60% of the air is content is nitrogen. And now with this layering, you actually capture the nitrogen as the seed needs to grow and the moisture. So you'll find out, it'll be very interesting if some of you just soak the seed and don't water it, but keep it in a very small moisture environment, but keep it as much as you can near to the surface, and see how much moisture it absorbs from the water, from the air, because as I always say, in the driest part of the earth, there is minimum 15% moisture. So In Africa, when we have the droughts, these seeds, by just few small liter of water initially to soak the seeds in, can be planted, and then they take the moisture from the air. So this is one of the breakthroughs. We already know about it, but now you are showing it scientifically. So in places like, what do you call it? What we have seen Biafra and the rest, where the harvest is lost through the droughts, the solution is this technology, where the seed manufacturers prior to delivery coat the material with nano layers of a GANS, and the farmers have to use very little amount of water in what do you call it, in the desert, and the seed will start. Once you start the germination, will start. About 3-4 years ago, one of our sons in Manchester grew the seed, and as long as you did not take the what do you call it, the seed out of the ground, because every time it grew a little bit, the dog bit the top off, there was nothing left. The seed will still grow, another root, another stem came up, till one day the dog managed after about 3-4 weeks to uproot it from the seed. So you will see, we've seen this process that you will see like 6-7 different stems from the same seed. This is the solution to the hunger position in Africa, and thanks to the government of Sierra Leone and the ambassador of Sierra Leone, we have been given the facilities to test this in the in the university once we are ready, and we can ship equipments to the university to be able to do it. And we already have a scientist, a Belgian scientist, who's ready to move to Africa to complete this process. I'll pass on the microphone to Ivan.
I actually have one more question regarding the agriculture. I have done another experiment in the greenhouse where I put in a number of cucumber seedlings, and one of the seedlings, this is 2 weeks ago, I put a star formation nano-coated copper wire around
That's fantastic.
one of them, and 2 weeks later now, that cucumber plant is twice as big as the one beside it.
Yes, but don't get excited, because sometimes you find the initial growth is faster, but at the end they might catch up with the normal one. My advice to all of you who are growing and testing this new direction in agriculture is, please do not eat the fruit of the plants.
Okay.
The problem is that we do not know yet if there is a DNA change. If there is no DNA change, this is something which we'll do later on. We received offers from different people that they can test these things for us. Jorge, as a member of the Knowledge Seekers, has contacts that might facilitate this later on in the next few months through his contacts, and we received other things. But please do not consume or eat any of the products from these materials you produce till we can see there is no genetic changes in it. And yes, at the same time, do not feed it to the animals, because you don't want the dog to have 3 ears in a week time. Okay. Thank you.
Hello, this is Ivan. So,
Hi, Ivan.
as far as the seed experiments are concerned, I prepared my soil, but I'll be doing planting the seeds today. There, I came across when Mr. Keshe was explaining that they found what some of the experiments they did in Belgium and other places, they found that in some cases, if the exposure to the GANS materials is too long, eventually, the seeds will revert to grasses. So instead of having corn or wheat or whatever, you get a grass. And this reminded me immediately of some other research which I came across 5-6 years ago. and it was done in Switzerland, in the at the time Ciba pharmaceutical. Now it's called Novartis, and there were two Swiss scientists, one by the name of Guido Ebener, and the other one, his colleague Heinz Schurz. And they started experimenting with exposing seeds and fish eggs to electrostatic fields. So the Earth has an electrostatic field of I forget the value, the number of volts per meter, and they started exposing the seeds and the eggs of trout to electrostatic fields that are way higher. And when next they planted these seeds and grew these trout, they found that they ended up with incredible plants like for instance corn. They would have corn that would give 5 to 7 stalks of corn on one stem, etc., etc. And concerning the trout, they would get huge trout which were reverted back to some ancient type. Anyway, so you can find that on the internet if you research it. It's also something to that. But next, what happened, obviously, because that pharmaceutical company was also involved in fertilizers and pesticides, that research was shelved, and that was that. Okay, now there's a few other things that were mentioned here earlier. One question was the stopping of the motors of the half-sphere reactors. From what I saw with my reactor, it seems that so we have the half-sphere vacuum with the gases, and which then revert to their
You just answered a very big question. Thank you very much. You just answered a very big question.
I did?
Alex.
Okay. Mr. Keshe said I answered a big question, but we'll come back to that later. So from what I saw with my reactor is that it was at some point it stopped, and then, as I explained last week, I think Mr. Keshe took it apart, and with the action of magnets activating it, like if you would put a flywheel into action with your hands, he put it back in action, and the motor started running again. Then it was running happily for a week or so, until at some point we thought that the other motors, the other spheres were running too fast, around 800 RPM, and we decided to slow all of them down a little bit to around 600. In the evening before going home, we thought, we don't want them to speed up more during the night and destroy themselves. So the minute we did that, I saw the current on the motor of my reactor go up and up and up and up, and I said, "Oh my God, it's going to stop!" It seemed that the pressure of the plasma from the other reactors was pushing the plasma in my reactor down to the motor compartment, and as far as we can understand it, either the plasma breaks the moving parts, or the magnetic field of the plasma inhibits the action of the magnets of the motor and stops the motor. It's either one of these two or both of them at the same time. Something else I wanted to quickly add, something that John just mentioned, which Mr. Keshe explained this yesterday or the day before, that we thought that, okay, the nanomaterial layers capture the electrons. Then Mr. Keshe said, well, but actually, once these electrons are captured in the spaces in the holes, PN junctions, whatever you want to call it, of the nanomaterial, they revert to their plasma. They open up as well and they become their own plasma. Next, that plasma wants to, so in the meantime, the proton, which is in the core of the reactor, becomes its own plasma. And next, these two plasmas want to reunite because they are from one and the same entity. And they reunite to a neutron-like, let's call it particle, no, rather plasma. But Mr. Keshe said this neutron-like plasma is factors less powerful than a real neutron, so it is not as dangerous. That's that. So, and then I understood, because our earlier understanding, that these electrons were captured in this outer layer. That would have meant that the outer layer would have become heavily electrically loaded, which we have never seen. So in fact, it's impossible that all these electrons are captured in this outer layer, because we see no sparks coming out of the reactor. That's that topic. Then we were mentioning to today supposedly evacuate and vacuum the reactors. So in other words, remove the matter which is still present in the reactors, so that only the plasmas would be left. And if I understood it well, next, to kind of shock compress these plasmas by adding, I presume, argon. Another, as far as interactions, so we have mainly understood is interactions, well, or not yet understood, but starting to see, at least without understanding fully, that there are these interactions between the reactors. First of all, what I just mentioned, when my reactor stopped. And also this week, there was this exciting moment when we were doing something, and I cannot recall exactly what we did, but we changed some parameter, and all of a sudden the core of Marco's reactor, the full metal sphere, which usually runs at a lower speed than all the others, probably because the motor is a little weaker or something. I was outside and I heard this noise inside, like a helicopter that's starting to take off, like, oh. So I ran inside to see what's happening there. And the sphere of Marco's reactor was turning faster and faster and faster, probably above 1,000 or 11 or more. And so we quickly jumped in to reduce the current, but we had not changed anything in the current previously, and that reactor was turning at a speed of 400 or 500 in the last couple of days before that. So something that we did suddenly caused this change, but I cannot recall what exactly it is, what we did. Oh, okay, just by putting two reactors a little bit closer to each other, or like tightening the ring, putting them all on the central board. It was, yeah. So like putting more pressure on the field. So that's mostly what I had in mind, I should say, today. Is there any questions concerning this?
I have sort of stupid question. When this motor
I have a question.
Do you ever try to turn them with a hand to see if the bearings are seized or the motor is seized, or why didn't they just stop? There should be
Apparently,
a reason for.
As judging from the previous experiences, there was nothing wrong with the motor. It's just, Mr. Keshe says, it's the plasmatic pressure that forces the motor to stop. Obviously, if next you do not reduce, because if you stop the motor and you keep the voltage at the same level, your current goes up so much that the motor might burn. If we see this happening, we turn the voltage down so that the current also goes down. because even though my motor has this water cooling, since it's in the vacuum, it's still maybe vulnerable to too high current. Certainly if it's stopped, but
yeah, but is it motor affected or core is getting to spin too difficult, or what's the reason for that?
okay, Mr. Keshe wants to explain.
This is a magnetic gravitational pressure because, for example, yesterday in the energy reactor, which is a center core reactor in the setup, we observed 2-3 times that the inner cores, which are not even connected to any power, their motors are totally switched off. They went into a halt and they restarted, slower speed, faster speed. So this is nothing to do with the motors. This is a plasmatic magnetic gravitational pressure, which they balance each other out, and that's the reason for it. And it's nothing to do that the motor is done. The gravitational magnetic pressure and the plasma level is much more than the power of the matter force. And we've seen this week now 3 reactors. 2 are in a very high level of plasma because we have measurement for it. And the center reactor with the 3 core combination, the 2 center core combinations are, what do you call it, connected by friction due to the valves positioning. The two cores totally stop, and they start again. They go slow and they go very fast, and then they stop. So it's got nothing to do with the motors. This is a clear indication. This is a plasmatic force pressure. I'll explain this in the future when we go a little bit further exactly how it works. This is the interface between the plasma and matter.
So basically,
and this
plasmas got stick together, or
pardon?
Like both plasmas, they got stick together like 2 magnets, or
Yeah, they interlock. Of course they do. I'll explain something. Let us go further. Then I explain as you go further with the technology. This week, Arman has made the first baby reactor of the foundation. It just was given birth in less than, God knows, a few hours yesterday. Is rotating on its own. Is an empirical core, what do you call it, environment. Is transparent. I'll let him speak about it. It's beautiful. I had a look at it late last night. And it's put a light on it. It's just a mom, little baby. I need attention, but it's fantastic. Let me explain. Let him explain.
Hello.
Hello, Father.
How are you guys?
Good. So, how did you name the new reactor?
I am thinking about Ludmil, you know.
Oh,
but you
I'm
are too
gonna
far
become
away, so
favorite.
I will change my mind. Huh?
I'm gonna become favorite. No,
Okay.
I'm not far away. In
And
a month,
Ludmil
I'm gonna be close to
huh?
you there, guys. In a month, I'm gonna be close to you there. So.
Okay. No, I didn't name it yet, Ludmil, but you know, if you find a pretty name after you see the pictures, actually, just let me know. I never thought about it to name my reactor.
Okay.
What I did that I filled it up with CH3 actually, and no, it's iron GANs. So I washed it material 3-4 times actually, and I injected with a small syringe. It was a little bit messy, but I managed to actually fill it up until the end. So it's rotating now Sorry guys, I don't have no pictures to show right now. Marek, he took some pictures, but it's in a lab. So maybe next time, or I'll post it in a Facebook. So I hope it's gonna be the best reactor, small reactor. So we'll see what's the result is gonna be. Thank you.
Along the lines of small reactors, we've had some success in our first tests of the ping pong ball reactor, and it actually withstood the full vacuum that we could muster with our vacuum system and has not collapsed. So that was a successful experiment, and we hope to continue with it. We're not quite sure on how to nano coat the inside of the ping pong ball, but it does come from the factory. When you get a quality ping pong ball, it comes with a nitrogen charge inside of it, so perhaps just injecting a bit of hydrogen in there might be enough to create a plasma. We were calculating the RPMs that would be required to give the same G forces inside for the gases, and on the inside of the skin of the core of the ping pong ball versus a 4-inch or 100 millimeter sphere. And when we have it, we have to take it up to is it 1200 RPM or something like that. About 1000 or 1200 RPM instead of 600 to get the same effect. So about double the RPM or so to get the similar compression of the gases due to the gravitational effects from the spinning sphere. So that's what we have so far on that. And I've managed to repair a couple of our motors and drives and so on. So now we're able to actually start spinning some things and taking the vacuum down at the same time with our system. Looking forward to that.
Hello, good morning to all. Jorge here. I just getting acquainted with all the seeds we have for the agriculture part. I want to study this species and the things we can expect for the growing, but in fact, my idea is more close to Armen's idea of what I want to study, what I want to understand from this growing is not in the air part, it's just in the soil part. So for me, in this point, I'm interested in the roots and the growing of the roots, because if the guys can provide the water or the moisture that need to absorb the plant, and also nitrogen and other nutrition part that is required for the growing of the plant, I want to test it in, let's say, it's like my idea, my previous idea, I need to design how to make it in practice. But my previous idea is made like aquaponics to understand if the root can grow only with GANs or a mixture of GANs and water. That's my idea. That's I want to try to understand how it's possible. And after that, the part of germination, if is there any change in the germination times, the condition that is required, darkness or light, and so on. So for me, this is a very critical point in agriculture. So I want to be enlightened in this part. And I try with only maybe 2 or 3 different species. I try to choose different germination progress, different germinations kind to understand what is happening there, because I'm very really astonished about that it's possible to grow seeds with GANs. So I want to go deep, and like Marco is growing let's say, I will see the other experiments. So for me, I try to focus on this part. Regarding the reactor control, I was working with Marek, trying to understand also the relationship between them. There is something that it could be, like Mr. Keshe said, inside of us to control. So I'm not really understanding this part yet, but we will go deeper in next weeks. So for me, we have to go step by step from the beginning, because this setup is very, very difficult to make conclusions, as we experience, Marek and I. So we try to make measures in the middle and change the speed of rotation and the sense of rotation, but it's difficult to extract conclusion because the fields of the other reactors are affecting. So we need to make a very easy way to understand how to control the strength of each reactor, and also the interaction between those two of them at the beginning. And from this point, when I have a clear idea, I manage to handle such a complex structure like a star formation and the kind of solar system that we have now in the lab. So that's my point now. If you want to add or just enlighten me about how to make the experiments, or give ideas, or what you like to make with agriculture, I will be open to hear from you. Yeah. Are you sleeping?
We do have a question from the live stream regarding what to do or how to treat the nanomaterials after they're being used. Is it possible to recycle them or treat them in a way that they don't contaminate? Or do we know already?
Yes, we know, but first of all, we have to learn more exactly how they behave in different environments. And time will teach you that. At the moment, I say do not touch them. Try to use them with a glove, because I explain to you later on why. If they are and how they can be, they are not harmful. They just release so much energy that your body has to be able to absorb it. It's just like when you're not hungry and you go and have a triple McDonald's. So you deliver a lot of energy, or you drink 10 cans of Coke in one day. Because it's in a plasmatic condition, you deliver a huge amount of energy, and the body needs time to absorb it and in a way use it in the correct way of its different strength. But as we come to it, this is part we use actually this knowledge in the health section of the technology. Any other question before I start? Let me explain to you something. I have to do this now, and then we go back to our teaching and the explanation about the scientific. As you know, we have a situation. We're sitting with the Belgian government, with the King of Belgium, and people who have set up a structure for more or less shutting down the Keshe Foundation on the basis that I'm mentally demented. And they're using all sorts of things, and they've done this without the scientists. So to stop this process today, I have submitted application to International Criminal Court for arrest and interrogation of the King of Belgium, the ex-King of Belgium, Mr. Hans Brackenier as the head of a European Space Agency, and Mr. Delano for a full investigation. So we have sent the phone to the head of the chief prosecutor of the criminal court. The hard copy will be delivered to them within the next 24 hours, 48 hours, and a copy of the investigation or what our request is getting posted by Marek on the forum, that even the criminals who are put the things for them in the court are aware of it. At the end of this document, there is a page that you can fill in and send and request. This is not for me. This is to actually read the content of it. This is to stop the literally killing, imprisoning, exiling scientists at the will of the different organizations to their benefit, or governments, or whatever. This is how we got trapped. We gave the gift to a government and they thought they're going to be very rich for it, then became the enemy, and that's how it started. So we have asked the International Criminal Court for the investigation, and they have to set it up. And we need whoever is hearing or whoever supports the foundation to fill in the form and send a copy to the email provided to the International Criminal Court, and for them to start the procedure. So we'll let you know more. There is no more can be said now that we entered a criminal investigation, hopefully by the International Court. As I said in the letter, children in Africa or children around the world get protection on the crime against humanity if they are killed or they are abused. How come not the scientists who save the life of these children? How come scientists have become the lowest scale and they provide the whole future and the wealth of their nations? So we request for the same, that the scientists from today receive protection on the international laws, and we don't become refugees and exiles the way me and my family and a lot of other scientists have become, and a lot of them have been killed by these crooked leaders, world leaders. They are not short of the ones who have already been captured and been put in prison in Den Haag. We are requesting the full investigation, and we have enough solid material to confirm that we are correct and they are involved in it. Otherwise, we won't make such allegation against a man who's been in the crown of a nation. If they abuse their position and their power, they have to be answerable, as we've seen with others who are spending years and years through the conviction through the International Criminal Court. That's the end of the matter, and if anything happens, we'll let you know. Most probably the Belgian government will try to make an indictment against me, but that has to hold till the International Criminal Court does its investigation. So this puts exactly directly everything back in the court of in the hand of the public. Now, going back to the situation with the research, what's going on here? If you noticed in what has been discussed, if you look at back about 3 months ago, we were talking about maybe a bottle, maybe something we saw, we couldn't get some Coca-Cola bottle, half bottles filled with salt, not working, and there was some energy, and then we built some reactors, and now, if you look, we have completed the cycle of the life on this planet through the same technology, and this is how life created in the universe. We started with coating the gas, the nanomaterial. We added the water, which is the essence of life, or the liquid of the same entity as we created the gas. Now we're using the gas in the reactors for lift and motion, which is now getting more or less perfected. There's nothing wrong with the material. It's the system which cannot be centralized. Hopefully this week we'll fix it. The same material now is used for coating as a fertilizer to start new food to go back to feed in the future. So in 3 months in the Institute, with the hard working of the knowledge seekers, I thank them, and it's to their credit to what we achieved. In so many ways, as I said yesterday, what I was planning to do and teach, and I gave them the warning that in 3 months, 6 months, or maybe next year, we'll go into the position of using GANs as a matter for the reactors. We already loaded the first yesterday, and now we loaded the second one in a matter of the reactor was built within literally hours by Armin, to show how simple it is to do. So now it's in the position of every man to create whatever he needs. I think Armin's system costs less than about $10 or $5. We show you because we have to do it once the Italian energy power source is completed. Hopefully, with Armin told yesterday, it'll be ready for early June, that we can demonstrate it, at least physically, till we put it through its test. We will show you that you do not need no wiring for absorbing energy to run your systems. The time of wiring and you need to put wires around the house and connect yourself with the wire is over. The energy and the plasma and the delivery of the energy to the system, you create a matching how much you want from it, you take it. This was demonstrated, but knowledge seekers are not wise to it because they're too much in a schizophrenic absorbing matter condition. Was done this week. One was the way the energy was delivered in a specific position to the reactor of Iran, which came to a full saturation. The ambient Y scale magnetic field in the lab is around about just around about 0.43. Yesterday, his reactor was showing 2.1 or 2, I think, or 2.6. So we have managed to create a very powerful reactor and plasma in a very small core. And hopefully, with what Armin is doing, we show that the size doesn't matter. You can create any condition. But the most important point is, I received information and we disclosed it with knowledge seekers some last week or during this week. But now I explained to the knowledge seekers yesterday what has happened, because they have to learn, and in a way you got to, as a people, as a humanity, we need to learn more. You got to realize what I wrote about a year ago, that the military aircrafts will become bathtubs on the oceans. This was exercised by the Russian Air Force on the 5th of May on American naval vessel with 2 crafts flying over a naval, one of the top advanced battleships of United States, and then the battleship had to be pulled to port, and immediately, according to the Russian agency, Pentagon has confirmed it, that such a thing happened, that the Russian aircraft came too close, and then they report the ship was pulled to Romanian port. But the Russian agency informs and confirms, do not forget that the Russian scientists have received the key, the way we handed over to the, at that time, the other president of the Russian government. And the Russians and the Iranian governments and the Syrian governments are all in the same pot of developing, as you know. We've seen their work. So for the first time, what we said, that the use of this technology will make bathtubs out of the most advanced war material, it was demonstrated on the 5th of May by the Russian system. Last time the Iranian captured the aircraft, this time aircrafts literally, the boat could not send any communication or even use its defense technology to protect itself. And the 27 maritimers who have resigned, their cause is that their life was at the mercy of the Russian Air Force. And they cannot do this because their nation cannot protect them. And that's what we said is going to happen. Now we see the next step use of it. This is exactly what happened to the reactor of Iran. 2 reactors were lined. They delivered massive gravitational magnetic force, saturated the reactor, and the reactor was immediately brought to standstill, which is made its own shell. And that's what was done to the American boat. So our friends in the American Navy now, they know what has happened to them. In realigning 2 reactors at this stage, as understanding of the man is the only way you can to bring this condition to, and the report of the Pentagon conference, there were two aircrafts. Immediately to me was obvious that the Keshe Foundation technology for the first time was used for peaceful purposes, in showing that navies have no forces. So the same thing happened in reverse when the reactors were moved in position in regarding Marcos. We said about last program, last teaching of the knowledge seekers, that when we moved one reactor, the other reactor increased the speed or reduced the speed. Now, because we'll be creating more stronger plasmas, we see much more significant effects. So what it is, what we set out to do, to create peace, food, and everything else, they're all coming together. And this is the first time. We try to give the link for you to check with the Pentagon documents and the Russian, what do you call it, government's spokespeople, what they've done and how this craft was brought out to is, what do you call it, to stand still, and it became defenseless. Apparently it had to be towed to the port, according to the Russian agency. In running the reactors and playing with it, we've seen a couple of strange characteristics. Because I don't interfere, I've resigned from the front line as of this week. So the knowledge seekers are there to learn the way I learned over years to understand the technology of matter and plasma. To me, they have made two major mistakes, but in a way I could be proven to be wrong. But the whole purpose of this technology was to create plasma strong enough to do something with it. And strange enough, they decided to put the two most powerful plasmatic reactors out of circulation yesterday. So we got to learn. We are all in there, and I watch. Where I thought the most stronger reactors should have been staying on the board, they should have been. It would have been very easy to fly. But now we are out of it. We have to learn what exactly it does. One reactor, which is John's, is a Earth matter connection, which is made of porcelain, and this reactor is showing unknown characteristics in a way. Is absorbing huge amount of fields, is the only loss point. And who's there? The printer. There is a noise. We thought somebody's coming. Is a printer printing. So we have to understand how the Earth material is absorbing so much. I understand it, but it's for them to do it. And in so many ways, we have to see, by removing the most powerful reactors out of the circulation, what has happened to what will happen in the next stage. I've made some notes. I'm just trying to go over as they were talking about the reactors. Something happened yesterday. We saw it 3 times, and in conditions of the reactors, one of the reactors has started releasing huge amounts as pulse, and it does it on a condition which happens accidentally. I've observed 57,000, very much like a metallic force, and 69,000, again metallic. But our system is set to be for weak plasma condition, not a strong solid magnets. We're interested to understand why we achieve this position and how this matter has risen. The whole explanation of what John and Ivan were explaining with the plasma of the electron being absorbed or by the nano coating, and then it being opened up as it has a principal matter, it gets retracted or absorbed by the plasma of the proton inside the reactor. This is what in the paper which is on the back of the books, if you read it, is called interatomic fusion. And for the first time, we have shown in so many ways a very small reactor like Iwan with very, very little amount of gas in it, creating huge amount of plasmatic field forces. In fact, in reality, what is assumed at the moment in the world of energy, that they want to fuse and create fusion to create high energies. In the universe, there is no metallic fusion. There is no matter, sorry, I should say matter fusion. In the universe, as you increase and add plasmas together, as they all contend principal matter in different amounts and variation and the strength. When you create a plasma condition in the center of the reactor and you allow plasmas to come together, then the total collective amount of the plasma which you have collected inside, when you reverse it, allow it, create a condition for it to become matter, then that plasma, it will manifest itself as the matter of that energy level. What does this mean is that if you put 10 plasmas of the hydrogen, which let's say we have achieved in the case of Ivan's reactor or the Iranian reactor, then what you get, because when you create a right condition and you can put them in different packages, let's say we have 12 packages of it, then you get something, let's say, very similar to carbon. And when the material changes from plasma to matter, then you get the atomic structure of carbon. This is how fusion in the universe is done. This hypocrisy of that, the supernova and the material guidance said no. The plasma packages convert into matter according to how much package and what material they have. And this spreading and the division of the plasma packages, it depends on the environmental gravitational magnetic field which is surrounding the star at the point of explosion, or at the time of its division from a neutron to electron in the proton, that it becomes. So fusion will happen only by adding the plasmas of matters together and then allowing it to become matter. As we've seen, there is no need for heat, there is no need for high speed. You need to create an environment of just about a few hundred revolutions. I think Ivan's revolution is about 400 or 500. So we have seen for the first time in so many ways the fusion of matter the way it happens in the universe, and not the way it's been set up to now that they want to high speed and collide it together. The other point which is very interesting, let me read it. We have noticed yesterday when John opened the reactor, because we filled the reactor up with GANs the night before, and we stopped it because we didn't know the characteristics, what's going to happen to it overnight. It's ceramic, it can literally break up. And it went through a few minutes, so maybe half an hour of rotation on the lab floor. The next day we had a discussion the day before how we're going to extract the water from the material GANs in the course. So when John opened the reactor in the morning yesterday, he found that he could literally extract all the water from the GANs. So we did not need to create vacuum to extract the moisture. The GANs material as a centrifuge has changed from the matter to plasma, and as we've seen in the cups, they separate very nicely and they stay a separate one. Matter stays matter and the plasma, and GANs stays GANs. So this has solved part of the problem. There is something very interesting as we disclose everything publicly that you should know. We've been approached by a company which we know for now 2 years. It's a Japanese organization. They want to develop the energy part of the unit, and the Japanese government knows our connection with them. So Japanese government through the structure and this company have approached us in past 24 hours that they would like to test the GANs materials of the Keshe Foundation in Tokyo urgently. So the material is getting shipped to Tokyo to the government and to the organization which is working with us. And so hopefully we will have a first-hand results from the Japanese government directly at Fukushima through their apparatus of operation which is set up for us to work with. And hopefully by next Thursday we can report directly from Japanese government, not necessarily TEPCO, how the GANs materials behave in the environment of the what do you call it, irradiated tritium water. The interest for the government in approaching the foundation is purely for tritium process, and we have responded. So by Monday morning, the material will be in the hand of the Japanese organizations and the government for their testing. Apparently, they have been monitoring our work, and they have seen at the time now they can't find any solution for these millions of gallons of water which is sitting in different tanks. So maybe we have reached the point of the acceptance of the technology from this point by a major government due to crisis. But I will tell you, as we reach this point, as I explained, the reason I was late this morning, I was online with Japan and Japanese organizations arranging how we would like to carry on the test live in what Fukushima on the power plant. So if that happens, we tell you more. But the beauty with it is now the way we have seen that we left the GANs here, and this is what I said before, we can use the GANs material in the reactors to stop the leakages so that there is no further production of water wastage and there is no need for the tanks. I have requested a very simple request from the Japanese and the authorities is that the only thing we would like to have back is whatever they collect as residual in the tanks, because the tritium collected is a highly valuable material for the space technology. I will explain that in next week. So we are officially going tested by the governments on the performance of the CO2, and I think this is something which will be good for humanity, and at the same time will stop this crisis at its root, because there will be no more contaminated water. But as Marek has been testing in a very different ways in past week, he nearly killed us himself and intoxicated us with trying to dry the GANs in the kitchen. On a fire, I couldn't breathe, I went in. So he's dried it in the... he's okay, we don't know, he's still alive. But you got to understand, one of the biggest problem at the moment in these nuclear reactors is the meltdown of the core and the material. So at a high temperature with these materials sit, or the rods which are exposed, or the fuel rods which are exposed to heating, if they come in touch with this material, it literally sticks itself to it, and it can stop the further radiation leakage into even the water. So as we develop this stage with hopefully with the help of the Japanese scientists, we will tell you more. As I said to the Japanese people and the what do you call it, official people we are talking to, is that the technology is given freely to the nation of Japan. We teach them, we develop it for them, and they can use it. I was told how much would it cost. I said nothing. So we see where we go. The other point for the development is hopefully this week or next week, once the knowledge seekers stop playing and start thinking how to do the reactors, they should be able to achieve lift. Lift is achieved in two ways. You can go low or you can go high. You force a condition, you become stronger, or you go weaker, that you get pushed away. At the moment, then the knowledge seekers are learning the technique of going lower, that they get rejected. But you can create a rejection the same way by increasing or using a very powerful reactors. This is how you escape from positions. If some of you have ever noticed what you call the light in the sky, you see them, they suddenly disappear. If they reduce and go below, they literally land reverse, and they get pushed, they won't be that high, but they literally create a huge gravitational magnetic field force, which the magnetical field is stronger gravitational, and you get pushed away. And this is what at the moment the Iranian reactor and the reactor of Iran are creating, and they've been put aside. So it's good because the knowledge seekers have to learn the lower level control. Then we go back up to the much stronger level control. Both can be used for motion, but in different ways. It's better to learn to work with the weak than when you have the strong, you can see what happens. Now, any questions? I've been talking to myself.
No.
Hello. Are we all asleep? It's about 4 o'clock in Canada, I think. You're all half asleep. Would
We
you
are
like some
amazed.
strong coffee? Would you like some strong coffee with gans of CO2 in it to get some energy?
No, we would prefer an espresso, Mr. Keshe.
Oh, it's
So if I may,
actually, we have all of it. With milk, without milk, espresso, decaf, whatever you like is available here. Let me explain to you something. Let me tell you something. I was explaining to Arman yesterday. As you know, Arman is involved in making fat people beautiful people in America. That is what is his interest is. So I was explaining to him yesterday how the American society or world society at the moment is locked up into getting fat. The process is very simple. As I explained to him, it's the combination and the structure, the way the macronutrients of the food are put together. And the whole player in getting fat is in fact the carb. If you look, you have a protein, which has got a carbon link. Then you add sugar to the food, which again is a carbon related. And then you add CO2. Then you add another carbon, you call it a Sprite or you call it a Coca-Cola or whatever. So now, when you add a CO2 to CH, the carbons lock together because they're magnetically imbalanced and they're interconnection. And the job of the carbon in any structure, live structure or chemical structure, is keeping connection. It's a communication line. So when you have the carbons locked, what do you have left? You have a hydrogen from the sugar, and you have the oxygen from CO2, which they put in the can they give you. So what are you left inside? The plasmatic condition of water. Now, with the new structure of the food, everything is salt added. You put the sodium, as you've seen in your systems, inside a salt condition of the body of the man, and you add the water to it. What does it do? It chooses protein, and at the same time it becomes a sac to hold the water which is created. So in fact the obesity, or not the obesity is created due to the current motion of the which this connection creates, because you have to feed it to keep the connection, interaction between the three carbons, so it continuously demands more and you eat more. So in a way, if you now that understand the structure of the GANs, understand the structure of the production and interaction of the materials as a common denominator carbon, then you understand, I should say common interaction denominator carbon, then you understand how by you drinking, let's say Coca-Cola or whatever colas, by putting the CO2 and putting the sugar together, you create a hydrogen-oxygen bond of water. This water needs to find a place. At the same time, with the availability of the sodium in the body, which they give you as a salt in your food, you create that condition to create a fat, which you get fatter and fatter. So in fact, if you can take not necessarily the sugar, but the CO2 out of the circulation, you solve part of the problem. And at the same time, you got to learn how to convert these gases to matters, or matters to gases that you don't put a weight on. So I have started teaching each group, each individual, according to their interest. Last Friday, I spent a couple of hours, no, about an hour or so maybe, with John and Marek. These are what we call the gurus of the group. These are the spiritual leaders. They understand and feel the forces. So what I did with them, I asked them, each one of them, to go to one reactor, which was the one which is Marek's reactor. He has some connection with it. because he built it, he was part of it. So I observed the interaction of Marek holding his hand around the reactor and monitoring the energy, or what you call it, gravitational magnetic field, and the field flow through our digital recorder. And I asked both of them when they were there to don't unconditionally give your emotions to the reactor. Take whatever you need. We saw a different reaction. And then I said to them, try to take whatever you need from the reactor. We saw the reaction. I watched the reaction on the monitor, how the field changes. Then I explained to them on the same way. You could see Marek is more stable. Marek works in a different level of interaction. And I realized that from the first time I spoke with him and when since being here. And you could see the power giving is very freely. But with John, you see there is some hesitation, and hesitation, you see the flux situation change. But you see, you understand, we control, we do not need to be in touch physically to interact. Now, as we have a gravitational magraps plasma ourselves, and now we start creating plasmas that we know we do gravity and magnetic field, our interactions with these systems does not need to be through matter, at the matter level. This goes back to why we put a sphere with a GANS on it on the table here. And I said to John and the other knowledge seekers, now that we start filling up the reactor, which is now has to be adjusted with the GANS material, as all of the knowledge seekers been involved in building this GANS material and developing it, washing it, making the nanolayers and the rest of it, they all have emotional contact with it. In the coming days, hopefully, we'll keep a bunch in the lab and a bunch up here, and we try, without the people in the lab interfering, to be able to control the reactors through interaction of the feeling. I think one of the first candidates for this will be Marek, because he has that detachment level more than others. So we see we're going to the next step. I was hoping to achieve this end of, let's say, second year. That will be the glory time of the whole thing. But the development here and disperse of the knowledge is so rapid that I think once they understand their interaction with the reactors to achieve this will be very simple. I have started teaching John how to understand the work of the brain in controlling the emotions. This is how you train future, what do you call, captains of your spaceship. And this is the beginning of the teaching, and slowly, they are learning what do you call it, the beginning strings of how the technology is going to be developed. The whole principle is that you do not need to have visual interaction. You have interaction through emotions. And now we are converting that to control. That's what I said, the first three-dimensional, no wiring system which is sitting on the table. This here is developed. We have to keep the ratio about the same as what is in the reactor downstairs, because the ratio decides which one stays the master. And the control room has to be the master compared to the motor, the reactor which is running. So we have to keep a ratio below the ratio of the mass which we have here compared to what we have in the reactor. These are all be taught slowly as we go forward. And soon, hopefully, once we can carry on developing these GANS materials, we will go into sending you people who have different reactors to link with us from here. So the reactors can be controlled by you here with another reactors, and we can control your reactors. These are, I say, about 3 to 6 months away, hopefully. But the development is so rapid and the spread of knowledge is so rapid that we are trying not to hold back, but at the same time stay at the level that you lot can understand. More and more people are understanding the property of the GANs. More and more people are understanding what GANs is. Some people say it's been done before. Nobody has managed to do it so simply and explain the whole process. By seeing an aircraft does not mean the aircraft flies. You can fly it, as I said before. Now we understand the technique and the process. And my target, as I said to our Japanese friends this morning, is I would love to have part of the tritium back here with us. He said, but they'll be radioactive. I said, the tritium we get from you will be non-radioactive, but it's the fuel source of the future. This accident will make Japan one of the leading nations in supply of energy in a real form in the coming weeks, if we can come to an arrangement. The next step with this goes with my beloved country, Iran, which has access to production of tritium. Tritium is once fed into the center core is the basic and the basic common denominator of the motion and gravitational field production in the universe. All the stars work through hydrogen plasma. And now we had, unfortunately, the situation with Fukushima, but fortunately, now that we know how you can use it, cesium and the countries and governments who have access to producing it, they can use tritium, or they can produce tritium for this effect. They'll become the next energy supply controllers of this process. But as we said, we make the knowledge so freely that nobody will control anything. We teach you how to make your own atomic hydrogen tritium. Again, it goes back to one thing. Start collecting Coca-Cola bottles. This is the secret to it. You drink a Coca-Cola bottle, you pass McDonald's or what do you call it, the fast food shop with Coca-Cola bottles on the floor, collect it. Because this will be the backbone of all your things you need. Because due to certain way that they produce Coca-Cola bottles, the neck and the top of the Coca-Cola releases atomic hydrogen, which you can change it to a gas, which I'll show you how. And then you can fill up your reactors, you can use it as a fertilizer, you can use it as part of the chain food for yourselves. This is a stage very far that you can understand. The whole process, if you understand, in other places in the universe, there is no nitrogen, there is no oxygen. But the whole process, as I explained before, and it's in the books, is for nitrogen to ionize, create extreme ultraviolet that can create the release of the energy of the hydrogen. Now you have the knowledge of the plasma and the hydrogen as a rawest form. You don't need the nitrogen to create the ionization. You don't need a carbon, and you don't need the, what do you call it, oxygen as gravitational pull to hold it. Oxygen is magnetic on this planet because of the Earth gravitational magnetic field in the liquid and gas state. In the universe there is no oxygen. But you create your own gravitational magnet the way the knowledge seekers are learning on the table in the lab. So the next step is, wherever you go, keep as many bottles of Coca-Cola in the basement, because that will be not the bottle what's in it, but just the head of the plastic. I shown that this week to, I think, Marco or Marek, how the thread end of the bottles just disappear. We had these pictures on the Foundation Keshe Technologies, what do you call it, website a long time ago. Something before I forget, and not to forget to tell you. As you know, from 21st of this month, 2 days ago, or yesterday more or less, the possibility to have the DOT Foundation was made available by the internet apparatus. So what does this mean is that you have, let's say, Keshe or what do you call it, Keshe Foundation at gmail.com. From Wednesday, now we have, you can put, for example, whatever at Keshe.foundation. We have the foundation.com of the structure, so soon we change all the .orgs and .coms to .foundation. So this is something we started. The first one more or less has gone to our administrator, who Mary Christine, the wife of Ivan, and she's received the first .foundation email, and all the correspondence for the new knowledge seekers will be done through the .foundation, not .org or .com. In coming weeks, once we stop putting the servers up on the structure of the institute, we will change everything to .foundation. All the .orgs and .coms will be kept because we have a right to them. We'll keep the domains, and they've been kept in a secure structure. Now, as of yesterday, now we become a .foundation, and we'll use .foundation, not .com and .orgs in the coming weeks. The situation with the institute is getting more and more clarified and cleared within the next week or so. We know more. There is a discussion here. We see the problems with the knowledge seekers who are here to stay 1 year or whatever is too much, or other difficulties which creates. Now we will be allowing monthly or quarterly what do you call it, enrollment. So you can stay for 1 month, or you can stay for 3 months or 12 months. Mary Christine will open these things and will send the letters to the ones who want to be. Then you don't need to find too much. There's a fee which is agreed to be done, and then you pay a month fee. And at the same time, we are trying to organize accommodations or people who can provide accommodations for knowledge seekers. Our priority still stands at 2 to 1, 2 for the people who can pay, and 1 for the ones who are intellectuals and benefit to the humanity, which cannot afford the financial support of it. We pay for all their support. So the whole structure will be laid out within the next few days, hopefully not by me anymore, and not by the knowledge seekers, because we get too much involvement with the research and development. So now we start putting the structure in the apparatus of the administration, that we don't have that anymore. On the other hand, in the new institute environment, we have the facility to accommodate most probably the children of the knowledge seekers, that they don't lose on education. So the process starts in finding out how we can use a special section part of the what do you call it, the campus as the school for the children who come by their parents to be here for a few weeks. They don't miss an education. The facility we have, we know exists and has been used extensively in Belgium and Germany, is that students, while they are here, we will set up their connections, that they can have internet connection with their friends back in their country and with their schoolmates. This is done, it's a very straightforward operation. It's used extensively in Belgium for the children which are sick at home. They don't lose time with their school. They spend all their time, because these are the screens which can be set up, and we try to achieve that. So if you go to school in Japan and you're here for 2 months, 3 months, or a year with your children, they don't need to change language if they don't want to, and they keep the same apparatus to stay in touch with their friends if we can set up the facility on the other end. So these are the things we are heading for, and the problems we have to encounter as we go along. Any questions?
So, Mr. Keshe, if I may proceed, probably we'll go this how to do the hydrogen gas.
Sorry.
No.
Just one thing. I just been nudged to tell you something we forgot. Today, hopefully, or not tomorrow, the Fukushima report will be on the Keshe Foundation website, download papers. There are 4 papers which will be loaded this today, hopefully, if our webmaster gets his hand on it. One is Fukushima, one is the virus, bacterialism virus. I think that's only 1 page, but it's the way we set it up. Don't come to us, oh, we've done it in 1 page. It's not the quantity, but it's the quality, what's in it. There is another paper, which a state of matter, and the 4th one is gas, oil, gas, and protein. These 4 papers will go on the Keshe Foundation website, download pages with a contribution. There is a discussion here around the table that the Fukushima paper has to be freely available. We find a solution around it, that the people who can't afford it can have it freely, and the ones who don't mind, they can pay for it. Send an email, you can't afford it, we'll send you the link, or we give you an access to it. We pay for it and we'll give you the link. We'll find a way around it, but we cannot exclude just 1 paper and then say how come one can be and the other one can't be. But Instead of waiting and you receiving papers as a book in 3-4 years time, now we start releasing papers, at least 1 or 2, as we gather information that we can understand about reactor technology, about developments of the other matters in the foundation. Now, go ahead with your question, please.
Yes, I will leave the hydrogen gas to the end because I think we did resolve it a couple of workshops ago, so I will go to the main topic. So, you said today that you will show us how to do the hydrogen GANs, which looks like it was solved a couple of workshops ago. So maybe you have something else in your mind, but I will leave this on the end because it's not the main topic.
No, because the thing is the knowledge seekers have to understand what they are doing. At the moment they tell me it's too fast, I'm going too fast, they don't understand. If this brain bank here does, which is on top of it, doesn't understand, there's no use going to another one. Let us learn to walk first.
Right. So basically, I wanted to go to something from the previous workshop. So before going to the question, I wanted to tell you that I have an experiment with cut bottles, as the knowledge seeker is doing, but they are in a linear arrangement. It's not like in a matrix. So
I've been told,
basically what is happening if the container is alone by itself is getting like a bluish.
If what?
It's alone, one single container.
Yeah.
Only one. Is getting on the bottom after, let's say, 2 days, like a bluish thing, which probably is the CH4 gas, as probably you are saying. And if the containers are...
What elements did you use?
One electrode is copper oxide coated copper electrode, and the other one is like an iron zinc coated from the champagne bottle. It's a copper oxide zinc.
Okay. It's a copper oxide. Yeah, you're getting there. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So both of them.
Can you do something? No, wait. Can you do something? Put this bottle on a stand that you can see. You don't need to move it. Put it on somewhere high that you can visually see through it, and by next time or whenever, where you go on the Facebook or you post whatever, try to explain to us or try to see if you see different layers of different color of GANs. Because most probably you have a CH4, you most 99% you have a CuO, and because you're using zinc in conjunction with the copper, and the way, if you set it up the correct way, you should see on top of it, according to the gravitational magnetic field, the strength mass, you should see CO2. You should see a blurred color, white tissue, blurred color. This is very important, because if you understand this point, then you can take this knowledge in the construction. You take this knowledge into construction of the reactors for food production and energy.
Right, so this is like a brownish 1 millimeter thickness layer of a lower density liquid, which is on the top of the water. I'm assuming that could be like liquid zinc GANs. I don't know. It's just a guess.
Yeah, is it like fattish looking, or is it just matter?
No, it's just like a liquid, like some sort of oily thing, but...
Yeah, you created vegetable protein oil. It's okay.
Right.
I know what you've
basically,
done. Okay.
I want to go further. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, I did connect the reactor, not like the knowledge seekers, like the electrodes being, let's say, in a line. In other words, the electrode of copper being back on back to the zinc electrode, whatever they have. But in the opposite side, in other words, all the electrodes, let's say, are parallel, are not coming one after the other. So it stayed so about a week. In all this time, the bluish CH4 GaN stayed on the bottom, and a little piece of whitish thing like butter appeared on one of them. When I turned the bottles, as the knowledge seeker did, like one electrode in the back of the other one, so the copper electrode on the back of the zinc, one of the containers, color, the whole in his entirety, the liquid, everything, turned brownish, and I got like the pink iron oxide, as Vincent did obtain, in one of the containers. So I'm assuming that the position of the magnetic fields and of the electrodes are playing a very important part.
Yes,
So
they
now
do.
it's a question. Last works you made because now is the important question. You went, you just how to say, spent 1 second on this, and after that you went to another topic. So you said something by 2-to-1 pattern as whatever is nitrogen. So can we go very slowly on this to in order to us to understand what you was meaning by that, and
the
that will
212 had to do with the loading of gases in the reactor, not to do with the liquid.
Oh, okay. So not
no. And the other thing is, as you said, suddenly things changed. As I said, from the day one when we started these talks and workshops, and before that, you create the condition, and the things will follow. You change slightly the parameter in one container, and your material change color. We've seen the same thing this week here in the lab. The two systems I built are back to each other. And past couple of weeks now, Marco built a 3-tray, and he put a motor with a fan on it, like to rotate to show the energy. And somehow this motor became too close to one of the squares in the back of the unit I set up. And in that in that time, now we had a white clear material from the day one we set the system up. Now, because of this motor being just near from outside that square, that block, it has started changing, as you said, into reddish, very light reddish. So now that I moved it away, it seems it's got stabilized. I don't see any more increase in brown color. All these things which you move is the conditions you create. The whole technology of space technology, the whole technology of the universe working is the conditions leads to what you see. Gold does not fall off the
right,
sky.
but let me stop you just a second. Supposingly that our goal is to obtain CH2, which is methylene or something like this. So now you just mentioned in today's workshop that in order to do carbon strengths, you need 12 hydrogen strength of magnetic field.
Yeah.
So now,
as a plasma.
So now,
as plasma.
Yes. So now, supposedly, we have 12 little bottles, as the knowledge seekers are doing. That will be 12 times the field. So now we have to put 2 units of hydrogen. In what position relating to the other 12 bottles to create the
this
CH2?
applies. No, this applies into the dynamic reactors in the plasma condition. But you can create the fields of it by putting reactors in the direction next to each other. You got to understand if you're talking about a static system or you're talking about a dynamic system. When we speak about dynamic system, you have soon in next 2-3 weeks, I hope, if it doesn't become faster, we'll start mixing the gases in the dynamic reactors. The same way as we make layers from nitrogen, what do you call it? We have argon and helium. Very soon now we'll teach you how to use gases in the dynamic reactors, and then you see the beauty of God. As I said to John, because the material is copper oxide based, more or less, if you get it the right way, the gravitational magnetic field of the GANs inside should be able to be created outside the reactor through the field's interaction with the Earth. So soon, once we get these reactors done nicely, we will see the matter to be in the container, but it'll be very much like the one which Armon is making. The matter with its color will extend beyond the boundary of the containment. These are the things you will see, and you will tell me soon. I've seen different colors, so we tell you in advance what is to come. So you can still play. We haven't touched any of the liquid reactors we made from day one, more or less, and we don't see any changes. If we decide today to move the reactors in a different position, within minutes we will see the whole color spectrum and the whole package will change. And most probably, most of them will go red. The reason for them to go red is because of the way they are structured in their containers and the salt. But this I'll explain when we understand more of. The only thing is that I say you have to wash all your gases before you use it for anything else, is that you keep mono-structure gravitational magnetic field. In a test done by the Italian nuclear physicists for us, we immediately seen that composition of calcium CO3. They've done it in a test, and I've got a report of it. So how you do it is, and why you get the calcium, I have explained before, that is why you have bone structure. That's why the bone structure is, and the only thing which is left of the human body when we die. I'll explain this process in the future that you understand why the bone doesn't disappear, and that's only remains of us, because bone in the nanostructure within the CO2 and within the structure of carbon connection creates a balanced gravitational, magnetic, and matter state. So in fact, it's more matter than the GANs, and matter in the environment, matter of the Earth stays. So that's, now you understand most probably partially the reason why you, after the man flesh, which is a GANs, disappears into the other direction, mainly the bones that stay behind. It's to do with the gravitational magnetic field of the calcium and the CO2, which is within the body, or CH bound of the body. Next question. We can go.
I have two more very short questions. First of them is, I've seen on that box in which it was producing proteins, some of the coils, multi-stranded coils, were directed with the axis perpendicular on the zinc plates, and on the other boxes you were directing them parallel, the axis of the coil parallel to the zinc plates. So my question will be,
this is
any
done
logic?
by accident. Yeah, this is all done by
so there's
accident.
no purpose.
No, because they decided that it was the, you know, when you have a new car, how you look after it, and you're very pedantic. So the bottle experiment was the first thing the knowledge seekers were making, is all very nice, hairly done. Then the next one is all curly hair one, which is a twist of fields. And now we've seen a different shape of it. They make different things, and now they're becoming more. At the moment, they have a dilemma with the reactors, and we see what happens.
Right, and the last question for today will be, a lot of people in the plasma group had an issue with CO2 gas, instead of dropping into the container, depositing on the electrodes. So it's a lot of work of obtaining the electrodes. Is there any way in which we can prevent
Can you repeat? I don't understand, please.
In the static reactors, in the salty solution, the CO2 gas, instead of falling into the container on the bottom, is depositing on the electrodes. So that is saturated.
But that has to do, but that has to do with partially with the salt content which is in it. We did not have anything. We did not have anything on our electrodes just this week, or since we start running the reactors on different conditions. We changed the environment of the lab, and now we see this hanging everywhere. It's a very much stage
Right, so you're
of...
suggesting we have a very low concentration of salt?
Yeah, it's a composition. It's a composition of it, because if you notice, most of these electrodes are already, which even though they're sticking out, they're in a nano state condition. So they're creating their own environment now that it's available to them in respect to the moisture, what is in the air, and the salt which is underneath. The evaporation of the salt and condition of the environment allows the deposition of this material on top. It is very much, if you feel it, because I have no hesitation to use it, it feels like a fatty oil, but it's like a cream which has no granules, but it feels like being granules before you touch it. This is a huge absorption of energy by the body. I advise you not to touch it.
Right, but these electrodes are under the water. So
doesn't matter under or over, the same. We seen it with, yeah, we seen it with Marco, a bit almonds. You see it. It's a condition which electrodes make. If you look very clearly when you're cleaning the bottom of the CO2s, start looking for like chalk, solid chalk. These are the calciums which were in the water, which in the process have separated. It's exactly how the bone structure is done. In the containment of the salts and the GANs, the calcium which is normal in the water, we usually clean it, but if we use a normal tap water, or the salt which we bring in has any kind of calcium structure in it, in some of the bottles, some of the containers at the bottom, you will see something. It's like a flake of calcium. This is how the bone structure is created in the body of the man. The condition is there because of the sodium.
Right, it's like a sound.
Yeah, it is physical. It's a matter. It's the only time you see matter in these containers. I showed it to a couple of nuclear physicists a few weeks ago. It is actually the calcium which is floating in the water which we use for dilution of the salt, and that calcium, the same process, because it's the right salt combination in the container, gathers together. Very much, it's the same process, but in the matter level. If you look at it, how you calcify, you create calcium or calcification around your kettle when you boil water. Part of it is due to this kind
now
of.
I have the last silly question. If I'm removing that oily liquid protein, as you said, probably it will build again on the top of the water?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But
okay.
try to understand. Try to understand if the oily structure does not stay the same thickness and the same structure all the time. If you look at it when it's weak, it's like a hexagonal, sometimes stuck to each other. Sometimes it pushes together and becomes like a flake. Sometimes when you look at the moment, one of the almonds has got a little animal dead on top of it. So it's like it's a little worm or whatever. We are waiting to see if he dies or survives, but he hasn't moved. So we're gonna give him
like
some
a filament,
soul.
let's say.
No. It's actually a little. I think what do you call it? Huh? 1,000 feet, I think it's called it. It's just landed there. It's not moving. We presume it is. We presume it is in hibernation if he hasn't died. Otherwise, we send Marek to give him some soul and see if he starts moving.
Okay.
Next question. So we finished. I don't know. Let me just. I'm getting tapped on to see something. What is this? No. We already don't know. Okay. The next question, or shall we call it a day?
We could call it quits here. I don't hear people jumping in with questions. Is there anybody else who has a burning question they have to ask the fellows here now?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. On one of my containers with the zinc, it's producing multiple colored
Pardon?
GANs.
Pardon?
One of my containers that I use with zinc is producing black GANs material. Do you know what that is?
I can't hear you. One of your fingers, what? It's gone black. It's gone black? Or one of your containers gone black?
Yes, black.
The containers?
The material is black.
Ah, we have the same here. It's a combination of... Are you using copper?
No.
Hello?
No, I'm not
What are
using
you
copper.
using as electrode?
Zinc.
Okay, zinc. Zinc and copper or just zinc alone?
Just zinc.
Just zinc. Is it pure zinc or iron coated? Hold on, I'll give it to John.
Yes, my question is for your electrodes, what kind of electrodes do you have exactly? Is it zinc-coated iron and copper, or what do you have?
In this container, I just have zinc chicken wire.
Chicken wire. That's it's zinc. It's iron coated with zinc. That's so. My understanding, we are producing some iron GANs probably. Well, zinc GANs, but there should be some iron also in it. That's my understanding. Mr. Keshe is not doesn't agree with me.
Just see if your system stops producing it. Take it out and see if it carries on producing. Because I thought the headphones was with me. Try to see to empty the bottom, and see if it carries on. What do you call it? Producing after 3 or 4 weeks, because to change that zinc coating to reach the iron, I think it might take about maybe quite a long time. Even though you think it's just a coating, but as an atomic structure, there are millions of these things on top of each other in that little layer. Considering that one atom, 1 nano thickness. So if you have 1 micron of zinc on the steel, you'll be, as we call it here, milking zinc for a long time before you get to the iron. So if you keep it going and see if you get to the iron, and then we'll see if you still see black. It's mainly to do this with the zinc. You get a mixture of the black.
Yeah, I have a mixture of different colors.
Mixture of the colors. So when you have a mixture of different colors, it's the materials.
Also,
it'll be very interesting. It'll be very interesting if somebody can do like a powder. We're gonna do this with Armand's system. Hopefully, next few days or weeks. Is we will be adding. We'll be adding like. You know, you go to the pharmacy and you get a zinc tablet or a copper tablets or whatever, and vitamins. We're going to start adding vitamins and matters into these containers to see how and which way they will start the cycle of life.
I added a liquid vitamin B12 complex into one of my containers.
And what happened? Has it become a donkey yet or not?
I I put also potassium nitrate in with it, and it's making some oranges, reddish stuff so far.
Yeah, if you add B12, it means you added the radiation source to it.
Yeah.
You just shall see how it goes. It's the most effective radioactive material for protein. Put it on the, if you got a fat layer, put the B12 on the fat layer and observe the change in the structure of the fat.
Okay. Also, I have another container with copper, and it's 2 copper scrubbers that were nano-coated, and I just stuck them in the water by themselves and covered it, and it's producing a dark brown gans.
Yeah, that is normal.
Okay.
That is normal. You create a, you see, because depends, one of the things you have with these systems, it depends where you position them to. You have to keep things away from, what do you call it, near the walls, near the tables, near the steel tables. You got to create as much as possible balanced environment, because you think you're doing something, but being near to a wall or something affects it. And the way you're talking, most probably the whole bedroom and the sitting room is full of containers at the moment.
Yeah. I also wanted to tell you that I had a container where I left the Coca-Cola bottle caps in, and you could see it's dissolving into little pieces.
Yes, on the edge, on the top, the screw end, or the
all
bottom
of it.
at the end. Pardon?
The whole thing's dissolving. It's been in there for 2 months.
Yeah, have you put it in a covered environment or is it open?
It's been covered, but I opened and closed it every now and then.
Oh, yeah, okay. You've gone a step further. Explain how you done it.
I took the bottle cap and actually cut it up into smaller pieces, and I just left it in there for weeks and weeks, and I just checked on it every now and then.
Ah, yeah, we did that in Tehran. Yeah, I thought you'd done the full bottle. No, because when I was in Tehran, we can't get Coca-Cola. It's banned in Iran. So what I was, my colleagues laughed their head off with me and said, "You're crazy." So I called my wife in Belgium and says, "Can you go around the town and find as many Coca-Colas and send me all the top screws?" So I was watching it. I brought some of it back. So we received about, God knows, half a kilo of the Coca-Cola taps to produce atomic hydrogen. This atomic hydrogen, if you can collect it, is very beneficial. You can convert it into a GANs, and then you use it as a fuel in the reactors. That you can do, but the thing is, as you open and close it, you already lost it.
Well, just use a Coca-Cola bottle itself.
But you got to connect in a specific structure, understanding the position of the absorption of the plasma and the GANs. And then you can directly convert it to GANs and feed into your reactor.
Mr. Keshe, didn't you say you ground up the caps like in a coffee grinder or something like that?
I think it is very difficult to create that condition. The best way to do it, the best way to change the best way I've seen up to now, okay, let's see the other way, is to keep the cap, the red cap, very tight, as tight as you can, and literally use 2 electrodes. Strange enough, if where you position the electrode on the length of the Coca-Cola bottle, it has a direct effect on how fast the head gets dissolved too. It's the condition you create, because your electrodes, once to you is just the electrode, is become black, but in fact, as I've told you before, again, you create between the nano layers gravitational magnetic field, which is exactly the right field strength of the carbon of the Coca-Cola bottle, which is at the distance at the top. And because of its physical structure, that carbon gets mostly attracted and gets embedded in the layers of nanolayers that are getting produced as they get sucked in and they get stuck in. We know this is 100% correct. If you go back on the papers which we released about a month or two ago from the report of the SCK and the Belgium Government Nuclear Center, it tells you in burning the material, they burn the what do you call it, the coating. They have seen 8% carbon. The carbon doesn't come from the air. The carbon.
So, Mr. Keshe,
yeah,
I have this experiment because you suggested it to me maybe 2 workshops ago. So I have like a long coil with the axis parallel with the Coca-Cola bottle axis. So as you suggested, I tighten the cap as fast as possible and I also sealed it with silicone to get the hydrogen.
Yeah.
And now what I observed, if the Coca-Cola bottle is horizontal, the carbon is depositing on the, on the spiral. So in the interior of the coil was whitish. So now I turn the Coca-Cola bottle vertically. So now it's starting also the interior of the cylinder to be coated. It's having already 2 weeks, probably in 2 more weeks, everything will be black on the coil, on the copper coil.
Yeah, you have created, this is what I've done before, you have created the condition for transfer of plasma. This is what the knowledge seekers, I don't know if you remember, told you last week or they told you this week, I don't know. We have connected the top of the reactors with a nano-coated wire to the bottom of the center core for conversion or for allowing the plasma, not current, to go through it. Obviously, plasma current because it's got both gravitational and magnetic field. In the only way you can transport plasmas in a matter environment, or one of the ways, is to nano-coat your tubes. This is what I told the knowledge seekers in the past few days. So you nano-coat your copper pipes, which you feed from one reactor to another. Then you can transfer plasma from one reactor to another or hold them in reserves. We spoke about it last time. What you are doing is exactly what you should be done. But I advise you, before you make the electrode and add it on top of a Coca-Cola bottle, nano-coat the tube and then create a nanotube bottle on top. Then you'll be collecting pure atomic hydrogen. This, what I told you, literally puts nail in the coffin of American $20 billion atomic hydrogen bomb.
Right, and I did it. The copper coil was first coated with copper oxide as per 2-container method, and after that was inserted into the Coca-Cola bottle as per instructions. So
yeah. The thing is, don't forget, there is something you got to remember again. The structure of the plasma does not behave the same as the structure of the matter. Don't think that if you position your plasma up and down, the plasma will flow higher. You got to understand how to create a condition for the plasma. We've shown it before here. Even you create vacuum, you can't pull the plasma out. There's a specific way to coat your pipe to to create a plasma gradient for the plasma from top of the Coca-Cola bottle to go up and to be stored. This is very, very important. Otherwise, most of the what do you call it, plasmas which you created are already pulled by the carbon that is moving to the electrodes in the center of the bottle, already moved on the top, and you lost it through small leakages. You think you're collecting plasma of hydrogen, but in fact you're not collecting anything. You have to understand.
Can you be more specific? Because the only thing I could is to seal.
No, the plasma will not go up. This is wrong thinking. The plasma will not float up. The plasma which you release, or atomic hydrogen which you released, automatically, because of the condition you created in the bottle, has become GANs. But this is a hard way to do it. So if you know how to collect these GANs through the coated piping, then you have enough. Out of a Coca-Cola bottle, I presume you can live about 20 to 50 years with everything you need as a man in the space around this planet. Just one, just one head. So you can understand how much energy is sitting with these things. Because don't forget, as a being, you do not, now we know you do not need to eat. As long as you receive the transfer of energy as a maggraph, not as a force, as a field. So you go.
Yes, but as I have it already sealed, as you
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You think you've sealed it. Hydrogen will escape like nothing. You think you've sealed it. If you put an electrode in there somewhere, you already lost hydrogen. There is a specific way, if you're collecting hydrogen atomic for your work, to do in a Coca-Cola bottle. There is no other way. Because even you think you have a full contact, hydrogen atom will escape between the lines. Don't forget, it's the smallest. So there is a specific way to trap and hold and extract hydrogen at the atomic level. This at the moment. This is I'm not trying to avoid to tell you what to do. At the moment, we know these programs are listened to by thousands of people, and some of them, if you have a wrong way of thinking, we teach something wrong, which at the moment human race is not ready for it. This is not being, but this is being realistic in what can be done. Energy released from these systems, if you know what to do, is worse than the Hiroshima bomb. And there are people who thought still to be kings and hold on to their kingship. And they'll do anything to stay there. So we have to be careful. The next question. We finished. It's 11:10.
Seems pretty quiet out there. Maybe we should wrap it up. Going once, going twice.
I think on that the next time. I've been waiting for other people to have their questions asked. But we've gone almost 3 hours so far, so I will wait till next time for sure.
If we have any developments with the Fukushima situation, we will announce it. We'll ask for an immediate workshop, because then we have to explain things to you that you understand. Because I think if the position reaches with the Japanese in the next 2 or 3 weeks or next week or whatever they decide to go with it, and we reach with the other governments which are testing the material, it has to be known immediately internationally, because Fukushima is affecting every man and child on this planet. And we have to see an end to it. I'll tell you how you can decontaminate your bodies from any radiation using the process. But we have to wait and see. The problem is the legality of trying to keep it correct, and at the same time establishing a system for its energy level. If you know how to use the gas of CO2, you can eradicate more or less 90% of the cancers. And a lot of people don't understand. A lot of these processes will allow a lot of. I was just explaining to Ivan, a lot of genetic defects can be eradicated, but we have to understand what we are doing. The only good thing with it is you cannot cause problem or more damages. It can go only one way, because plasmas by their nature only take what they need, and they only give what is need to be given without them losing their structure. So the balance is part of the universe. Next question. Or we call it a day. Thank you very much. Please, if you are listening, go back on the link which we gave regarding the life of the scientist, which has gone to Den Haag. We need as many signatures as possible. Post it wherever you can. There is a form at the end. Fill in the form and send it to International Criminal Court of Justice. You have to realize one thing. A lot of you who are involved and you're sitting with us, or in the future sit and listen to these programs, and you come up with new ways of developing and doing things, you are the next victim of these people. Because then you become threat to their assets. Now you're the next generation scientist is for you, for your children and other people around the world. That we stop this process. We stop the genocide against children. After a few of these criminals were put away, they knew, they understood they can't get away with it. Now we have to stop the same with the present scientists and the future scientists. It's very, very simple. Whatever I've said in past 2-3 years, we're seeing the fruit of it. I think American government fully understand the implication of the 5th of May capture. No submarine, no aircraft carrier is safe anymore, if one wishes. The only thing you need to do, you have to align 2 reactors in the right direction, creating gravitational magnetic field plasma. You create a cluster around the craft, around the boat. No communication. They could not even tell the Russians where they are and can they stop coming close, because there was nothing, they were all capsulated. So we see the beginning of the peace through implication of the technology. And the same goes, you are the next scientist who will develop more things than I do. What I can explain to you, your own lives is in danger. You have to, what do you call it? You fill in the form and send it to International Criminal Court. Have you put the link up, Mac?
Russian aircraft flies near US Navy ship.
Yes, in Black Sea. Yes.
Yeah, we've got the link up.
Yeah, so you can see this is the beginning. I understand something very clearly, very, very simply. Why Iran? Now Russia on the sea, and we saw the Syrians protected their borders using technology for past 3 years. Only country in the past 15 years never been copper bombed by the Americans or anybody else. Ask yourself a simple question. The technology is proving its own strength in different ways. But I ask you again, as many as you called, some of you called this police officer in Belgium and he gave you a lot of what we call rubbish, and you think he is correct. He will do anything and he will lie through anywhere, through his teeth, to stay alive. Now he hunted a lot of scientists. Now he's becoming hunted by the International Court of Justice. It's very, very simple. Now you have to understand what the step has been taken by the Belgian authorities. The reason they stopped the process, they said he can come, he's got a very important case to do. Now they've taken my case back to somewhere else in Belgium, and they're trying to say I've done, what do you call it, crime against the state, and accusing the king of the Belgium to whatever. And this summons or whatever they're trying to raise is about to be served for September. We are watching it. People inside the police force of Belgium are monitoring your own criminality. You think you are safe, but don't worry. You must be surprised for me telling you what you're planning. And you cannot do anything till the International Court of Criminal Court pass a verdict on you, because your warrant now is useless. Any action you take against us cannot be carried out, even you try to assassinate. People are watching you within your police force. Within the government, even Mr. Hans-Brackenier's move is watched fully by international securities. Mr. Hans-Brackenier, hand yourself over and finish it. You'll be taken out very soon by your own federal police. The people in the structure of Belgian federal police are aware, and they've seen the injustices and the things you have carried out, using your position as what you call yourself, a gatekeeper. You thought we don't know. Now, please fill in the form and send it to criminal court. We have to stop, not for us, but for you and your children who develop technologies to help humanity not to be in the hand of these people. Thank you very much. And have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe, for another workshop.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
What a good sleep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Keshe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the end of the 11th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and goodbye to everyone on the live stream. Thanks for coming tonight or this morning or whatever it happens to be, where you are in your local space-time continuum. And thank you to everybody for coming, and especially to the knowledge seekers, of course, of the Spaceship Institute and Mr. Keshe. Okay, we'll end the live stream here right about now.